What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and beautiful people of the Crasher community? How are you guys doing today? So we're back with another video to discuss Pokemon Go, and I think it's pretty much safe to say at this point that this subject has become somewhat of a staple here on this channel, especially with what's been going on in the recent weeks. Did the Pokemon Go remote raid boycott actually work? Player count, revenue, more. On April 6th, following the nerf of remote raid passes in Pokemon Go, hundreds of thousands of players planned to boycott the mobile game in opposition to Niantic's decisions, but was it actually effective? March 30th marks the boiling point for many Pokemon Go players who were looking for one last reason to leave the mobile monster collectors. It was the shot heard around the world, the straw that broke the camel's back when Niantic announced the nerf to remote raid passes. After slowly stripping back some of the highest praised pandemic-era accessibility features over the past year, this nerf sparked an outcry from players akin to the backlash from 2021. And like the response 2 years ago, trainers band together to commence yet another strike, this time starting on April 6th, the day the remote raid nerf was enacted. And why wouldn't they? In 2021, the boycott was successful in that Niantic reverted the changes made to player distances. So why wouldn't a louder, longer, more fierce boycott net a similar result? A month has passed since the remote raid boycott started, and it's time to look at whether or not it was super effective. I gotta give it up to my man Zachary Fairfax for his Pokemon puns. Definitely clever. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it has been over a month now since we ended up having those changes take place, and it has been several weeks since hashtag Heroes Niantic has been a thing, and is still a thing even to this very day, and rightfully so too. And why is it still a thing? Because Niantic still has yet to hear us. One thing is for sure, the Pokemon Go boycott was loud. Hashtag Heroes Niantic was trending for multiple days in a row. Large YouTubers in the community made emboldened videos on the subject, and a petition to revert the remote raid changes reached over 100k signatures. But did that translate to in-game statistics? Well, no, not really. At least not when looking at the data presented by ActivePlayer.io. According to AP, April 2023 had one of the highest average monthly player counts since May of 2022, and when compared to the month prior, the monthly loss was only a 0.50% drop, a negligible dip by Pokemon Go standards. In fact, in 2022, there were 4 months out of the year that saw a greater drop in players without the assistance of a supposed boycott. That said, there are numbers that seem to reflect the dwindling appeal of Pokemon Go. In February of 2023, Pokemon Go saw a nearly 50% drop in maximum daily players, dropping from 9.1 million to 5.2 million. This number has only increased by 100k or less since then. What this shows is that while the same number of trainers are logging on monthly, fewer players are opening the app at any given time during the day. Okay, so that is actually really interesting to know. While the monthly players percentage hasn't exactly dropped, not even 1%, the daily activity when it comes to those players, so daily logins, seen a considerable drop. And it makes sense given the state that Pokemon Go is in currently, thanks to Niantic and their continued negligence and other forms of bullshit and gaslighting they keep on doing to their player base. There's no concrete way to measure whether raid participation has actually seen a drop since April 6th, as Pokemon Go doesn't make that information publicly available. Gee, I wonder why. However, voices in the community tell a different story. Several players have reported on forums, including Twitter and Reddit, that they have found it more difficult or impossible impossible to raid without the assistance of remote raiders. Some have even claimed that the nerf to remote raid passes killed their local Pokemon Go communities. There's also anecdotal evidence from third-party websites and apps such as PokeRaid, Raid Now, and PokeBattler. Before the nerf, raid lobbies would fill up instantly, making it difficult for players to find active raid groups because of the volume of trainers raiding. Now, hundreds of lobbies sit empty, waiting for enough players to trickle in before the raid timer expires. In fact, usage of these resources has plummeted if PokeBattler's own stats reflect the state of third-party raid binders. From April 6 to 28, BP reported a 54% drop in users. The site normally boasts 200k monthly users, 800k during popular raid events, but that has dropped to around 108k since the nerf. If players are to be believed, it seems that fewer players have been participating in remote raids since the changes. However, in an interview with Eurogamer, Niantic claims a successful increase in in-person raiding. Well, gee, I wonder why there is a successful increase in in-person raiding. That would be because they killed remote raiding for a lot of players that heavily depended on it and enjoyed it. It was a great feature that Niantic killed for no reason. And remote raiding is not the only thing that Niantic killed off. They also, as a result of this bad decision, have killed off interest when it comes to people playing Pokemon Go. They have killed the community spirit and morale as well. It's also really telling as well, ladies and gentlemen, when you compare the raid lobbies from before to now, where before they would be filling up with a generous amount of players, but nowadays you would be even lucky to have a few players scraped together to barely have a chance at that tier 5 boss. Pokemon Go's revenue has been a point of contention following the MobileGamer.biz report for April 2023's top grossing mobile games. While MG reported Pokemon Go raking in $34.7 million in April, its lowest monthly earnings since February 2018, Niantic refuted these claims. In the same interview with Eurogamer, a Niantic spokesperson claimed the third-party revenue estimate was incorrect, but didn't dispute the claims that their monthly revenue was down. However, Niantic did state that their revenue for the same period in 2023 was up compared to 2022. That said, Niantic's annual revenue has seen a substantial downward trend since its peak in 2020. According to Statista, Niantic made $909 million from Pokemon Go worldwide in 2020. This was followed by a slight drop in 2021 with $874 million and a massive drop in 2022 with $645 million. To put this in perspective, Pokemon Go's revenue in 2019, pre-pandemic accessibility changes, was almost $10 million higher at $653 million. While Pokemon Go's revenue may be up compared to 2022, that doesn't matter when looking at the impact a boycott can have month to month. And if Mobile Gamer is of any indication, the remote raid boycott could be taking a toll on Niantic financially. So, with all of that said, is the Pokemon Go remote raid boycott working? No, not really. In terms of monthly players, there's not a huge difference when comparing March to April. Remote raid participation may be down, but Niantic claims in-person raiding is up. And while April reportedly had the lowest monthly income in 5 years, it was only a reported drop of $8 million compared to March, a loss that likely would have stayed the same with or without a boycott due to the price hike of remote raid passes. Niantic also hasn't budged an inch since making this decision, where in 2021, they were quick to revert the distance change after receiving backlash. So despite the community's best efforts, all of the evidence points towards 2023's remote raid boycott being a total flop. I personally disagree with that last statement right there of this boycott being a total flop. It wasn't 100% effective, don't get me wrong, because Niantic still has yet to to hear out their players. And not just hear them out, but actually give a damn about their criticisms and concerns that are levied at them for Pokemon Go. But there's definitely some impact when it comes to this boycott to Niantic, okay? The cracks are starting to show, and they're getting bigger and wider as time goes on. And it shows in various aspects, not just in their dip in revenue, the dip in raid activity, the dip in community morale and interest of Pokemon Go. I mean, the list goes on here, and I have been covering that shit next to daily for the last number of weeks. It's also interesting that of all of the things Niantic chose to respond to, almost immediately, mind you, it was something that had to do with bringing their revenue into question. So that right there is another telltale indicator of where their priorities truly lie. Like, the more time goes on without a proper response and turnaround from Niantic, the more alienated these players are going to be feeling. And here's the thing as well, is that Niantic have shown their true colors more than ever. They don't care about you, they don't care about your interests, they don't care about Pokemon Go. They made shady and nonsensical changes to the terms of service, which I covered in the previous video. Feel free to check it out. That shit was a fucking garbage mess, by the way. And I'm thinking that all of this wouldn't have happened to the fullest cringy extent that we're seeing right now if it wasn't for this boycott. So while, again, it wasn't 100% effective, the boycott definitely did do some damage, in my honest opinion. And I'm gonna keep at this until either I die trying, Niantic makes a genuine turnaround, like a 180-degree turnaround, where they go from being the shit company that they are to being a good company that actually cares about their players. I'm gonna keep at this, or I'm gonna go out on my shield. That's just how it is with me. You, the Pokemon Go players, deserve better. You deserve more. And I'm gonna keep on voicing that shit up until Niantic fucking listens to their players. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it here for this video, and it went on a little bit longer than I had expected, but there was a lot to cover here in this instance. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I always love hearing you guys back, and once again, I just want to thank you guys really freaking much for all of the support, all of the shares, all of the comments. It really truly means the world to me, guys. Thank you very, very much for your guys' support and your willingness to hear me out. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time as well in viewing this video. Have yourself a damn good one, you beautiful people. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Don't be like Niantic. I'll see you guys next time.